Hi everybody, if you don't know me already, my name is Kaylee. I'm a gut health nutrition coach and I help people to overcome their chronic gut and digestive issues using the principles of ancestral nutrition as well as some other holistic health principles. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing my #1 tip for finding clarity amongst confusing nutrition and health advice. So I hear from people a lot that there's so much contradictory advice out there. They don't know who to trust. One person is telling you to avoid dairy, while the other person is telling you that you need to be eating lots of dairy. One person is saying you have to avoid gluten and grains to heal your gut, where other people are saying, eat a plant-based diet full of grains and eat your whole grains and you need tons of fiber to heal. Or to have those bowel movements. There is just so many varying opinions all over the place, and it can be really overwhelming and difficult to figure out, what's right, who to trust, what to go with. So what I want to share with you is seriously my #1 thing I've used for years and I still use to this day, because I just find it's the most reliable, it makes the most intuitive sense to me, and I've had a lot of success using this tip. So I really hope that it helps you too. I think it will, and I'm really excited to share it with you. But before we get too far into the video, I want to let you guys know I have a free training available, and it's on how to heal your gut issues by getting your digestive system to work like an efficient machine. And in it, I'm sharing with you, how your digestive system works, what you can do to make each part of it work well, just so you get it running so smoothly. You don't get backed up, you don't feel indigestion, you don't get any of those symptoms. It just works so efficiently, you literally feel like a machine. So if you have digestive issues and you just want more guidance, something that's more in depth than the YouTube videos that I have, that's more specific on, okay, here's some steps you can actually take to start healing, it's just more in depth than here, definitely check that out. I'll have a link below, and I'll share more about it at the end as well. So anyway, I want to share my tip with you now. So it is to ask yourself what is most in line with nature. And this might not be what you were expecting, so let me explain more what I mean. So I have a lot of examples pretty much that I wrote down here that come to my mind often that I think will help articulate what I mean here. So one is, people say, is dairy bad? Is dairy good? Is dairy inflammatory? Do you need to cut out dairy to heal your gut issues? Things along these lines. So with my technique of what's most in line with nature, we can see that all dairy is not equal. The dairy that people have been eating for a long time was from cows that were grass-fed, that were living more in line with nature. It would be whole milk dairy. They didn't really take different percentages of fat out. They didn't add in synthetic vitamins. They didn't homogenize the dairy. They didn't pasteurize the dairy. It was just boom, out of the cow. This is your milk, and maybe made into cheeses and stuff like that as well, or butter or whatnot. So that kind of dairy is totally different than dairy from like factory farm cows that were given like hormones and antibiotics, and then all the fat was taken out of it, and then these synthetic vitamins were added in, and then it was like ultra pasteurized, and it got rid of a lot of the lactase that would help you to break it down and absorb it. So we have to remember that these things get more complex. So with this example, the quality of the dairy is going to matter so much on whether this is something that you should eat or not. And not everyone ate dairy. This varied a lot, like people in Switzerland ate a lot of dairy. There's a lot of dairy in a lot of parts of Europe, but not so much in other places. It just varied so much. So those are a few things to keep in mind, like, is dairy healthy or not? Well, what's the quality of the dairy? But another thing is your health. People just didn't have as many health issues when they were living more in line with nature. Our ancestors that were living more tribally, like hunter-gatherers or small farming villages or things like that, they just didn't have as many health problems. And if you want to learn more about that, check out Weston A. Price's book, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. It's my favorite book ever, and he explains it super duper well in there. But anyway, When you have poor gut health, sometimes you react to dairy and it just doesn't work for you as well. So it's always good to listen to your own body too. You know, I have some clients that are healing their gut and they're totally fine with dairy as they heal and they get really good quality dairy. A lot of my clients will drink raw milk or try to find raw milk, but not everyone can find it. Sometimes they can still have dairy. And then I have a few clients that dairy's just not working for them right now and they are waiting, and once they heal they can usually tolerate it. My client Alana couldn't tolerate dairy when we started working together, and 3 months later now she's eating dairy and she's totally fine, no symptoms at all. So you have to take into kind of the account of your gut health too. So I guess that's a little extra caveat there, but still, so then we can look at some other things. Okay, gluten, grains, are those bad for you? It's complex. It's not that simple of an answer. So when you look at nature, when you look at what people have done for a really long time, some grains, you know, people have been cultivating grains for a decent chunk of time. You know, it's not huge in the span of human history, but they have been having some. But our ancestors knew that they had to prepare the grains properly. So soaking, sprouting, fermenting was so important for grains and legumes and things like that, and nuts and seeds before they ate them, because they didn't put it in the terms of high anti-nutrients and things like that, but they just realized that they were difficult to digest, it didn't feel great, and that they needed to prepare them properly to be able to digest them better. So there's that practice, that ancient practice that's happened for a really long time. And the same thing happens with gluten, you know? Gluten isn't inherently evil. I eat gluten. Like, I tell some of my clients to avoid it sometimes in the early stages of gut healing, because it isn't the best on your gut if you're having gut issues. But once you're healed, if you want to eat some organic, good bread that's made, sourdough bread, you know, that's totally different. I like making sourdough bread. It's fun. It's properly prepared, and the quality matters. That is a huge thing that keeps coming up. The quality matters so much. So that's kind of a thing with grains. So like a lot of people are like, oh, grains are horrible, don't eat them. Or people are like, oh, get all your whole grains in. And it's like, okay, well, if we look more at nature and what our ancestors did, a lot of them had some grains, not all of them, but they always prepared them properly. So that is where I find the best answer personally. And I also, with my experience eating and working with clients and that kind of stuff, my experience eating, that sounds funny, but it's true. I have noticed that to work really well. So another really interesting thing is like looking around you, like when you go out on a hike, or it has to be like deep enough in nature, or you're out backpacking or camping. It's really fun to like look around and get to know your area and think about, what could I eat around here? I'll do it for here where I am. There are deer here, there are rabbits here, there's quail here, there might be turkey, there's definitely a few different birds. I'm near the ocean, it might not look like it. So there's a lot of fish and different things, different sea creatures and seaweed and stuff like that. I see miner's lettuce grow around here. I'm sure there's a few other plants, probably some berries and things like that. So I like to do this practice because it tells us a lot about what humans would eat. You know, I would not eat this oak plant right here, and I certainly wouldn't eat the poison oak right there. We can't eat all the things around us, only some, and yeah, everyone's different. So I think it's interesting to just kind of use that and put it into perspective. Okay, what do I learn from that? Wow, like humans ate a lot of meat, and you know, if I was to shoot a deer and eat a deer, I wouldn't want to waste it. I would eat the organs, I would use the bones in broth. So humans really ate nose to tail for a long time and really thrived on it. Yeah, so I think that's just an interesting exercise. Like, there aren't a ton of plants around here that I could just eat unless I started a garden. Yeah, and there's seafood I could eat, you know, I would have to get chickens or find eggs around, but there's certainly no processed foods around, and there's not like fields of grains to eat all the time. So I think that exercise can kind of help you put into perspective how humans have eaten for a long time and through that, think about what we're designed to eat and what we do better in. Obviously, we don't have to do that. We've also had gardens for a long time and cooked things, and more stuff comes into play. But it helps you to go a little bit beyond just cutting out processed foods and junky foods to, it's not just whole foods, because we really can't just be like raw vegans pounding down a bunch of grains. I have tried it. It doesn't work well. We really do need to be eating the animal foods in order to heal and nourish our bodies. But anyway, let's see what else I have here. Oh, wow, that's so funny. My second to next note was, this helps show us that vegetarianism and veganism doesn't work very well. But another thing I want to add on that is, I was vegetarian for 10 years and I was vegan for like a year and 10 months. And what finally made me not be vegetarian anymore, vegan really didn't work for my health. It was kind of easier to get off of that, just seeing how poorly I was doing. But vegetarian to eating meat again, the biggest reason I started eating meat again was like observing nature, and just this huge shift in my perspective that it's not wrong to eat meat. We look around and we see lots of other animals eating other animals. It's part of life. So that was huge for me in my decision to start eating meat again, and I could not be happier about it. Let's see what else I had. Another common thing people say, is the sun bad for you? Does the sun give you sun cancer? Does it give you skin cancer? Do you need to wear sunglasses and sunscreen and things like that? And my thought again is like, look at nature. No other animal uses like sunscreen and sunglasses like we didn't for a really long time. Now, getting sunburned is obviously not good for you, and mitigating that by like slowly building up your sun time and using shade when you can is ideal. But the sun itself, getting sunburned isn't good, but the sun itself is not going to give us cancer and disease. It's part of nature. It's there for a reason. Like, just sun exposure is not bad for you inherently. In fact, it's really important for you for vitamin D, and that is important for so many things. Your immunity, oh my God, your bone health, so many things. So that's like another thing that comes into mind here. Let's see. Oh, another one is like dirt is really good for our microbiome, as long as it's like good dirt, not, I don't know, in like a place where they dump a lot of weird toxins or things. But like, there's a lot of things coming out now about, like touching dirt and letting your kids play in the dirt, because it helps your microbiome. So that's another interesting connection with nature. Let's see, what else do I have here? I guess I just wanted to note that I use this like question and way of thinking about things of what's most in line with nature beyond diet. So I actually use this in more philosophy and spirituality and different aspects of my life as well. So it's definitely something that works really, really well for me. Something really interesting that I thought was funny was, there's a philosopher, Friedrich Nietzsche, and I heard that he would spend like hours outside hiking each day. And when he wasn't doing that, he was writing and he was eating his meals. And interestingly, he ate like a bunch of meat and fruit, like he had a really solid diet. But he said that he would spend so much time walking outside every day because he didn't trust thoughts that would come to him inside. And I just thought that was so funny. And I really loved that. I really resonated with that. Yeah, so that's another thing. Another thing with this is, like, do you need supplements, Like, let's look at nature, like what's most in line with nature. No, you do not need any supplements to get all of your nutrients in. Animals don't, we didn't for a really long time. We don't need that. What we need is to eat nose to tail. When we eat the whole animal, we get pretty much all the nutrients we need. The organs are each high in the nutrients that we need for our respective organs. So liver is high, so many B vitamins and iron and folate and vitamin A and copper and so many things that are needed for our liver to function. like kidney is high in stuff that our kidneys need, heart is high in what our heart needs. The bone marrow, the tough cuts of meat, the bones that we use to make broth, all of that is good for our bones and our bone marrow and our connective tissue. And the muscle is good for our muscle. And so many things just work well with that. So yeah, I don't have all the notes in front of me, but eating nose to tail is really, really great for getting all of our nutrients in. Each part just has different nutrients and they balance out really well. Those nutrients are really bioavailable. We absorb them really well. They're all in the right animal forms that we need. So like if we have a carrot, vitamin A in a carrot is beta carotene, which has to be converted into retinol vitamin A, which is what you'd find in like the liver of a cow. And we just are poor converters. We don't get a lot of vitamin A from a carrot, but we get a lot from liver. So yeah, eating nose to tail is such a great way to nourish our body. And then when we combine that with eating either dairy or seafood, and then also having some seasonal fruits in there and maybe some veggies if you like, you'll mostly have your nutrients covered. You can look more in depth. I do go more in depth than that with my clients. I have like a nutrient guide that I go over and really help them narrow it down even further. But that is the first step for getting all your nutrients in. You seriously do not need supplements for that. People did not use supplements for a very, very long time, and they had way better health than the average person today. Let's see. Another thing I had is just the way we feel in nature is really huge too, versus like being cooped up inside all day. There's a calm sense, there's a calming sense there. There's less stress, all that kind of stuff. So I hope this principle makes sense to you and I hope it helps you. The best way I thought to describe it was to just give all the main examples that come to me off the top of my head. If you have more questions about it, feel free to let me know down below. But essentially, just whenever I'm kind of encountered with a health question, is this good? Is this bad? Usually it's not a black and white answer and it's a little more complex. Looking towards nature and kind of using that as a guide, it doesn't mean you can't look elsewhere. You can absolutely learn some things from science and you can learn some things from other kind of holistic routes and whatnot, but using that as kind of a guideline and always keeping that in mind has been so helpful for me for sifting through conflicting info over these past years. So yeah, I hope you find it helpful too. And at the beginning, I mentioned that I have a free training video on how to heal your gut by getting your digestive system to work like an efficient machine. So I just want to tell you a little bit more about that. In it, I go over the 5 keys for a successful gut healing diet. I talk about the importance of a personalized, sustainable, nourishing diet and how you can create that. I also talk about how to have full relieving, healthy bowel movements effortlessly and daily. And I also go over the biggest mistakes that I see people make that can delay your healing by years. No kidding, by years. So if you want to get this training video, I will leave the link below where you can access it. And yeah, it is very, very valuable. There's a lot of helpful info, stuff that has worked really, really well for my clients, stuff that helps them heal their gut issues, and a lot of my clients heal in about 3 months. So this is really, really great info that'll help you a lot. So if you want something a little bit more detailed than my YouTube videos, a little bit longer, and very specific to, okay, like do this step, that step, like start implementing the like X, Y, and Z. If you want something a little bit more like that, then you would really enjoy this. And it's perfect for anyone who has like constipation, diarrhea, acid reflux, indigestion, just feels like they have weak digestion. If you have skin issues, hormonal issues, IBS, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, any kind of gut issue, this will work for. This will be very helpful for. So if you want to check that out, again, I'll leave the link below. If you do, I hope you find it helpful. I really think you'll find it super helpful. And thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful as well. If you did, if you want to like, comment, Tell me what you want to hear more about in future videos. I'm always open to your suggestions. Subscribe if you want to see more gut health, ancestral nutrition related content. And if you know anyone who would enjoy this video, feel free to send it to them. And thank you so much.